in the military, like you have a bunch of alpha males, right? I hate that term. Like
Yeah.
they walk in the room and they have to tell everybody, I'm General such and such, I'm Colonel such and such, I'm
Right.
Sergeant such and such. Once you know who you are, when you walk in a room, people know who you are. You don't have to say it.
Yo, welcome to Meet the MovieTubers, where every single episode we talk to a brand new MovieTuber to the show. We talk to them about their journey from where they started their YouTube and where they're going with their YouTube channel. Now, in this particular episode, we have our guy, the emotional movie tuber, the emotional movie watcher, the emotional man who's fully like comfortable in his masculinity and in his emotional spectrum of how he regulates the different happenstances that are happening on the screen and takes them in and lets the tears flow. Have you seen that with T?
It is your boy T, the overly emotional movie reviewer. And I swear every time I watch Armageddon, I cry when Bruce Willis saves the planet from that asteroid.
Can I actually call you Terrence, or do you want me to stick with T?
Stick with T.
All
The
right.
only people who call me Terrence are my mom and my wife.
Oh, well, yo, so we definitely gonna call you T. I totally understand. That's like when people call me Kenneth. Like my wife calls me Kenneth when she's mad at me. I'm like, yo, don't Kenneth me. I didn't do anything. Yeah.
Yes.
So, yo, man, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. I can't complain. Life is good. I'm happy to be here. And yeah, life is good, man. I can't complain.
Yeah, man, I'm happy to have you here. Yo, and I'm also noticing your brand new studio, man. You redid your studio. And I love it. I love the Black Panther poster in the back. I love, like, what's the poster like right over your left or right shoulder?
So over this shoulder is a John Wick poster.
Nice.
John Wick, and then over this shoulder, there we
Yeah,
go. Sandlot, The Sandlot, one of my
Nice.
favorite movies, two of my favorite movies.
Oh, dope. So check it out. Sandlot is a movie that has passed me by. That's one of them I have not seen yet. I actually really need to see that. I need to see Goonies. There's like a lot of movies that I really need to see. When I have seen that, I will tell you that I have seen that with T.
And that's really where the whole design of the channel came from. Was like I always was the movie guy, so I
Mm.
always tell people about movies, people I work with. I was always that guy, no matter where I was. I was always that guy who, man, have you seen? No, I haven't seen it. It's kind of where the title came from. It was another funny story where the title came from too. It is your boy T, the overly emotional movie reviewer, and I still cry every time I see Optimus Prime die in the Transformers the animated movie.
When was the moment? When was the time that you said to yourself, you know what? I'm the guy who people always ask me, have you seen that? And I ask people like, yo, have you seen that? And I'm the movie guy. And people are like, yo, you talk about movies all the time. At what point did you say to yourself, maybe I should start a YouTube channel? Maybe I should go to youtube.com, type in create channel, put in have you seen that with T? Or if you had another name, I definitely want to know that as well. And start recording and uploading and editing videos and putting them up and allowing people to see my thoughts on these films. What led you to that point, that click to say, yes, I want to do that?
So I started, like, I've always been a movie guy. Like I've loved movies since I was a kid. It was something my mom and my sister, my sister, we would go see movies all the time. Like that was like a family bonding
Okay.
experience. We would watch movies either on HBO, and we couldn't afford cable, so we had bootleg cable.
I hear that.
I don't know if you had the cable guy in
Now,
Philadelphia.
we had the brown box that was illegal.
Yes. We had some of that too.
Yeah.
Statutes of limitation over,
Yep.
so can't get in trouble for that.
And that wasn't even my crime. That was my parents' crime. So
Exactly, I was a minor. But yeah, like that's just what we did. Like that our bonding time. Even though and of course, as Black people, we're gonna talk over the movie. It's part of it. It's like people say, oh, it's not a good date idea or a good like bonding experience because everyone's silent. No, we talk, right? And my wife tells me I talk too much. But anyways, so I just started recommending movies to people, and it leaked on to social media, right? Facebook, and Facebook, I always put little quips. Hey, I just watched such and such, and and stay away from it. Like always something funny, right? Some
Right.
2 sentence funny joke about whether the movie was good or bad, and somebody could say, "Oh man, you should jump on YouTube." I was like, "Nah, I don't have those type of skills," because you look at people on YouTube, and I always thought these were professional things, right? Like a
Yeah.
lot of people, and I would, and for like I never found the smaller channels to see people make mistakes. I always found the big channels, right? The
Yeah.
Jeremy Johns, the Chris Stuckmans. Then I also was really into the tech space too. So like MBHKD, Marquez Brownlee, like
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
all of those guys. Like I would see that, and it just looks so professional. It's like I
Mhm.
don't like. I just got iPhone, right? Like
Right.
so I started originally. The original idea was doing ride home reviews, right? I would go see a movie, and then I would just record on the way home. I would literally get my car, I press play or press record, and I would record driving home what I thought of the movie. I wanted it raw, like unfiltered.
Mm.
Man, this movie was great, or no, this is terrible. Like
Yeah.
so, I started doing those, and I didn't start doing those till maybe 2 years ago, right before I was retiring from the military.
Now, are
Yeah.
these like audio recordings or are they like video recordings?
Oh, they're video recording. I would set my phone up in my car, and I would just drive home, and I would just,
Nice.
record. And this is during the summer, so it was
Yeah.
all good. Then come September, October timeframe, I realized, oh, it gets dark really early. So it started looking terrible because
Yeah.
had like I'm driving. I can't put lighting in my car. I mean, I probably could have.
That like you know how they used to tell us, like my parents used to tell me that having the top light on was illegal. It's not true.
It's
But at the
not
same
true at
time,
all.
you still just don't want to do that. You don't want to draw attention to yourself like that.
Exactly, especially driving while black. You don't want to draw any extra attention to your car. So, and I tried it a few times, and it just looked terrible. It was grainy, and it just didn't work, right? So then I started doing it right when I got home. It's still in a car. Like I wanted that car aesthetic. I wanted like the raw emotion, right? And
Yeah.
this is all on IG and on TikTok. I started dropping these on TikTok because they were real quick videos.
Hmm.
And one of my old workmates, he just kept saying, "Man, you got to get on YouTube. You got to get on YouTube." I was like, "No, I'm not ready. I'm not ready." And I just found time, and I started doing some research, lighting,
Yeah.
and it's something I love to do, and I just started investing in different things, cameras,
Yep.
lights, and I've invested a lot of money in this.
I don't know if you also like experienced this. When I started doing YouTube, I was not aware of the amount of skills I would learn just trying to do YouTube, whether it's like lighting, camera position, Canva, like editing, like all these different things that like SEO and titles and where I should put this and how I should say like all these different skills that I literally did not have before doing YouTube. Like, did you experience the same thing? Like, oh my God, I'm learning a lot of stuff I did not know.
Complete facts, right? I learned a lot, and I realized how time intensive this is. I did not realize. I really like I'm old school, man. Like I'm a point and click kind of guy. I
Mhm.
didn't realize like once I got a different camera, like I had to do all the setup for that audio. All of these different things require setup, lighting especially.
Yeah.
That's been the thing I've battled the entire time. Like I've had like I'm a member of Zach Mills' channel, and he told me he said this like 3 weeks ago. He's like, "Man, every time you're on here, you always have a different setup." It's because I'm fighting lighting. Like I was fighting,
Yeah.
like I put it different places. It's just hard to do, especially when you have kids, because they're kind of everywhere and they're
Mhm.
pushing. Like I had stuff on wheels, so they would push it and it would just be
Oh no.
off, and it was just like, hey,
Yeah.
to no fault of theirs. Like they're
Yeah.
just having fun, being
Mhm.
kids. But it was really tough. So I finally got a dedicated space where I can just shoot. I keep the door closed. My cat doesn't come in here and mess with stuff because boy, he loves to mess with the everything that's on the shelf.
Yep. You saw
Uh,
last night. My cat just walks across my desk and I'm like, girl, if you don't move.
I mean, this day house, we just in it, right?
Yeah,
We just
you're
we just
right.
we just occupying space.
Yep.
But yeah, it just I did learn a lot. I did a lot of research. I've talked to a lot of friends. I have a friend who owned a production company out here who's helped me out a lot, and it is daunting. At first, I didn't care because it's like who cares? But I'm a bit of perfectionist, so I
Yeah.
want it to look right. I want it to sound right. My wife did all of this. Like I will say this to the end of the earth. because my idea was not going to look good. It would have just been a
Yeah.
total mess behind me.
Now, one of the things that you briefly mentioned, like you mentioned that you had gotten out of the military. And before we get into that, I'd love for you guys to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button so you can get more reviews from me. And also check out that join button for the new channel memberships that I have that will give you exclusive content, including stickers, memes, behind the scenes, and everything in between. I did not mean to rhyme all that, but you came to my channel. You came to hear me rap. No, you didn't. I'm interested in like what your movie watching was like in the military, like when you were in basic training and when you were like, I guess traveling, like how were you able to like, it's not like, I'm not saying that you guys didn't have technology, but how were you able to go about like watching movies, and were you the movie guy even in your military group?
Yes. So over time, it got easier, of course, because technology grew. So when I went to Iraq, in I think it was 2008, 2009 timeframe. We were on this huge base in Iraq, right? This small building that was a bus stop. Like we had to take buses. That's how big this base was. It was this hut. It was probably the size of like a small gas station, but it was nothing but movies. It's bootleg movies, right? This Iraqi guy owned a little hut, and that's where like I had boxes. I mean, I'm talking about like full boxes of bootleg movies. And I would spend like an hour in there because I would go through every shelf, every row, and they had the most obscure movies. That's truly where this all started.
Oh, okay.
Korea too. I was in Korea. Every place you go in the world has a bootleg spot.
Right.
Now you have the internet. It's a lot easier to consume movies, consume content now. But back then, you had to find a bootleg spot. Like, Amazon didn't deliver. I don't even think Amazon existed back in, at least not in my world, like back in 2004, 2005 timeframe when I was in
They were
Korea.
just selling books back then.
Yes, yeah. They would just selling products, right? Like, and you could buy movies, but like I'm not spending $20-$30 on a movie when I
And
could
you're
buy
definitely getting it all the way to Korea. Like,
Korea. So I would say Korea truly is where, and I said this, I remember, because before I did YouTube, I had a podcast. I did a podcast for about a year and a half before I actually started YouTube. And once I got on YouTube, I stopped the podcast because it was really time consuming to do both.
I can totally see that happening. Yeah.
But it was a movie called Hard Candy. And I have to set the stage for this.
Oh, set it.
So I was in charge of a guard force on this Patriot tactical site, missiles, all that good stuff. And we had this guard shack, and it was where everybody went to sleep. We rotated 24 hours on. This guard shack didn't have any heat, right? So in Korea, it gets extremely cold in the winter. So you'd be in there, and we had this huge floor model 65-inch TV, and we would just watch DVDs. And I put on this movie Hard Candy. I don't know if you've ever seen Hard Candy.
Oh, I haven't.
Such a good movie. It's Elliot Page, formerly known as Ellen Page, his first movie. Patrick Wilson. It's a story about a pedophile. This guy, he's a predator. Yeah, he's a predator. He goes online and he meets Ellen Page. Come to find out, she set him up to meet her. So because she lost her friend, and she found out he was the guy, and she did all these things. And it's like this movie, this cat and mouse movie, right? It is a fantastic movie. I really enjoyed the movie, but I played it for everyone after I watched it. There's this castration scene in that movie, where she's like has him on operating. She's like, "Oh, my dad's a doctor," and she's reading his book as he's on the table because she tranked him, and she's videotaping her giving him a castration. What? Spoiler, but she was playing a tape of a castration, and he's watching it, like he's seeing it, but she did something. She put like ice on his junk or something where he couldn't feel it. He couldn't feel anything, so he thought he was being castrated. Great movie. That was the selling point of the movie. But like as people were watching it, they're like, "Oh my God, why do you got us watching this?" So after that, they kept asking me for different movies, right? Because once again, I would watch these obscure movies that you never heard of.
So wait, it went from "why are you watching this" to like, "what else do you got?"
Exactly. So even though this shack had no heat, it was freezing cold, it would be a packed house. We would all watch movies at night, because most of the time people would find warm spots to stay. And me, I had a sleeping bag. Like I would stay in it because it was the only place that I could get peace and quiet, right? Like because nobody was in there because it was so cold.
Yeah.
But after a while, then once summer hit, everybody was in there because it was the cool place to be. It was like it was actually cool in there now because it was just they finally fixed when summer hit. They fixed the AC so you wouldn't die of
Right.
heat
So
exhaustion. It gets really hot.
it sounds like through growing up with your family and then going into the military, like a lot of your movie watching is a form of bonding. Like you bonded with a lot of different people, you fostered a lot of different relationships through movies, which is really dope. I love the fact that movies did that for you.
For sure. For sure. And a lot of it came to luck too. When I first joined, there was a dollar movie theater right across the street from where I lived. Right,
Hmm.
my barracks. It was this dollar. It went up to like $2, and that was like a big thing back then. But it was like this dollar theater, and I would just go. Of course, you just go over there when anything's playing. Like you would just go watch it. So like that really fostered my movie watching experience. Like it was a real like I always made time no matter what. Even
Hmm.
when I was stationed in Germany, I lived close to a movie theater. So every Sunday, football wasn't on Germany during the day; it would come on at night because of the time difference. So every
Okay,
Sunday, I would go see one, maybe two movies.
got you.
That's just always been my thing, man. I just love watching movies.
So I have so many questions about this. So when you're over in Korea or you're in what was the other place that you were stationed at?
I've been overseas,
Yeah,
Germany,
yeah,
Iraq,
Germany.
Qatar. Yeah.
So when new movies would come out, like what was that like? Like would you have to wait like a long time to see like whatever was new and dropping in the US?
No, so a lot of those movies come out a week early. In Germany, specifically, they come out a week early. Like all
Okay.
of the big US movies would
Mhm.
always come out about a week early in Europe. In Korea, I can't remember. I remember going to see Superman Returns in Korea. That came out
Oh,
a week
nice.
there. And that huge IMAX, that was like one of the biggest screens I've ever seen in Korea, but it had Korean subtitles on the bottom of it. And that
Oh,
was the
wow.
only time I went to the actual movies in Korea because that was like a 2 hour, 3 hour trek to go from where I was to
So was it
American Plane
worth
Theater.
it though? Did you actually like Superman Returns?
Oh, I love Superman Returns at the time. Like
Yeah,
actually, I think I've grown more fond of it over time because Man of Steel just wasn't
it
a
wasn't
good
it for you?
take on Superman. Yeah, like
Yeah.
it was a good movie, but it wasn't a good take on Clark Kent and Superman.
Yeah, like so I love Man of Steel, but also like I really enjoyed Superman Returns. I know a lot of people didn't like it as much, but I honestly thought that it was a lot of fun. Just some of the visuals, like if you remember the trailer, when the trailer came out and the bullet went and like broke or bent on his eye, I was like
Yes.
mind blown. And then seeing it in the movie was just as cool. Kevin Spacey is who he is, but I thought he was a great Lex Luthor in that movie.
I think he's perhaps the best Lex Luthor that
I,
we've seen on screen. I mean, no knock on Gene Hackman, but
oh
I
yeah,
don't think he was playing like I think he was playing a cartoon character,
it
a
felt like that.
cartoon version of Lex Luthor. But
Especially when he started
Kevin,
adding the hair and stuff like that.
that was a weird take. But I thought Kevin Spacey was the closest thing we would see to a true, at least my interpretation of Lex Luthor on
Yeah,
screen. I think Nicholas Hoult might bring something incredible. I think he is going to do something
yeah.
unique, and I think it's going to be really good.
I have a lot of high hopes for this particular movie. Superman, it was Superman Legacy for a minute. I'm really looking forward to it as well. I think James Gunn is actually going to do a really good job with it. And the thing I'm most excited about, specifically with James Gunn, is he's not afraid to do the weird comic booky thing. Like a lot of directors want to make things so grounded that they strip all of the zaniness and the weirdness out of comic book movies when sometimes that works, but a lot of times like if you embrace it and make it like translate it well, I think that it can actually be really like we from James Gunn, we have a talking tree and a talking raccoon and no one's questioning it. It just works. I think he'll be able to bring something to Superman that can work.
I'm not as optimistic as you are because I'm a little nervous
That's fair. That's fair.
because James Gunn is operating on house money. Like
Yeah.
I feel like he if he does wrong, I feel like he has an out. But I mean I love Superman, so I'm gonna go watch it, of course.
Yeah, for sure.
It is your boy T, the overly emotional movie reviewer. Till this day, I still cry every time the Notre Dame players lay their jerseys down so scrawny little Rudy Rudiker can get in the game and make that one single football play. God, I love Rudy.
The other question I had about your military experience with this. So when you watch movies that are military centric, right? when you watch like American Sniper, or you watch, this is weird, Transformers, different things that have military characters and stuff like that. Are you the type of person who watches and is like, that wouldn't happen? That's not right. Wait, why would he go into the barracks at 300 hours? Like $300. Look at, you can tell I'm not in the military. Why would you go into the barracks at 08, like 100 hours? Like so and so forth. Like, or like A Few Good Men, which is my favorite Tom Cruise movie. Like, are you watching those things and like analyzing it from the perspective of someone who was in the military?
Yes. Everybody in the military does that. Like, it's a uniform check, right? When people wear uniforms in movies, people said there's like this myth that you can't technically wear the uniform correctly, or it's considered like it's like unlawful or something like that. That's completely not true. I looked into that. People just don't take the time to actually find someone who knows how to do it. Like, when people salute in the movie and they're like, and it looks dumb. It's like little things like that. And then of course the tactical aspects of it. I've said this in a few of my movie reviews. Like, that's tactically Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, right? That was the reason why I did not like that movie. I wouldn't say it at all, but like that final scene, if you're taking a fight to Namor, why would you go out on a boat in the middle of the ocean? Like, tactically, that makes zero sense. Like it made literally no sense. Like, you're about to get washed out there. Like, it just makes no sense. And that took me out of the movie.
Yeah.
Like that completely, I was just sitting there like, what in the world? Like, why would y'all do that? Like, you're sitting ducks for these super powered submariners.
Ocean is 70% of the planet, and that's where you want to fight them?
And I understood their plan, but their plan was flawed. Like, it was a silly plan. Other than that, like, I truly try not to watch too many military films. There's certain ones you have to watch, right? You have to watch Few Good Men, but that's not really, I don't really categorize that as it's like a military movie. That's a drama. We Were Soldiers, Black Hawk Down, Full Metal Jacket. Everybody in the military at some point has watched Full Metal Jacket. Saving Private Ryan. Those are like must watches. 1917, Dunkirk. Like, those are more newer military movies, but I try to stay away from it. It's not because they're bad movies. It's just like, you don't want, like, I watched Black Hawk Down the day before I flew to Iraq. It was the dumbest thing I've ever done. Like, it was like, oh man, like, it was literally, I couldn't sleep. I usually would stay up the night before I flew so I could sleep on a plane. And I watched that and I was like, man, why did I just do this? I'm about to go to, oh no, it wasn't before I went to Iraq. It was before I was going somewhere.
Yeah.
It was like, I'm flying on a plane and I'm like, I'm gonna get off the plane and that might be
right.
Like, you just never know. Like, it just,
absolutely. Like, can I ask, like, so for me, like, we're both Black, right? So one of the things that I stay away from in general, or try to stay away from in general, is like Black trauma movies, just because I don't need that, right? So I've never seen Fruitvale Station. I've heard it's great. I'm never going to watch it because I don't need that. I saw Origin that came out from Ava DuVernay earlier this year, and I thought it was a love story based on like the first 5 seconds of the trailer, because I never watched the rest of the trailer. It ended up being about the Trayvon Martin case and tracing that all the way back to Nazi Germany and how like Dulles and the laws and like the caste system and all that stuff like that. So going in, I had no idea that there was a scene where we actually see a reenactment of Trayvon Martin like getting murdered. So if I had known that, I probably would not have gone to see it, even though it's a great movie. I'm glad I saved for it. Like, so in the same way, is that similar to the reason why you won't necessarily watch a military movie, especially something like Black Hawk Down or Saving Private Ryan, just because like that trauma, that kind of thing is real for you in that situation?
Yeah, because like my new tagline, the overly emotional movie reviewer, right?
Yeah.
When I watch movies, I put myself in that situation, right? I really do. Like, I sit there and I think about what would I have done in this situation. Like, watching Saving Private Ryan, there's nothing you could do. You're storming the beach of Normandy, right? Like, like, I think tactically, all of these movies, Black Hawk Down, like all of these atrocious war movies, like, I think about, one, there are people who sacrifice their lives, like, and this is real. These are real stories, right? These are real life. This stuff happened in real time. And I have nothing but the utmost respect for all Vietnam vets, World War I, World War II vets. I feel like our war was like a media war. Like it was a glamorous war. Like I that's what I call it, right?
Mhm.
I was lucky enough to not be on the front line. My job was air defense, right? We're glamorous right now. Like everybody in the world
Yeah.
loves what we do when it comes to shooting stuff down. I was always in the back, but like it just feels different. Like it is like watching Fruitvale Station, which is a great movie. I knew
Mhm.
nothing about, Oscar Grant prior to watching that movie.
Yeah.
It's a really, really, really good movie. I tend not to watch those. I don't watch slavery movies.
I
Like
don't
I
watch
just
slave movies either. The only slave movie I've enjoyed watching is Django Unchained, like just because he gets his revenge. So
I did watch Emancipation, Will Smith. That was more of a freedom story than it was a slave movie.
okay,
It turned really quick. Like he spent 5 minutes as a slave, and the rest of the movie was like this. It's a really great movie. I don't
okay.
think that, of course, because of the slap.
Yeah,
I can't remember who the director, Anton Fuqua. I don't think that was a brilliantly shot film. It was such a good movie that got derailed because of the Oscar incident.
yeah.
That's probably the only one, and like I don't consider The Color Purple a slave movie.
With that, man, I want to get to our second question, our second like official official question. Since doing YouTube, like what have you learned about yourself during this process?
What I learned about myself is that when given a task,
Hmm.
one, I have to plan things in order for them to come true, right? It's a lot more planning going into this than I thought it would. And just like time management, I've learned how to manage my time. Like the military teaches you great time management because they give you a schedule. Like your schedule pretty much, or tasks that you have to hit. But with YouTube, like you just have to, like I have to block off time, of course, like being married with children,
Yep.
like you have to dedicate so much time to them. And I'm surprised. I don't know if you can hear them in the background, because I sure can every time they say something. Luckily, there's noise canceling microphones and stuff like that. I like silence. I don't have a true studio. And I don't think I would want that where I cannot hear stuff that's going
Right.
on outside. But you just have to block the time. I learned a lot of time management, when I can watch movies, when to watch movies, when to drop these reviews. I'm from New York City. We're all innately loners. Like we have villages, but those are people we grew up with. Like that, my friends are the people that I knew from, the time I was knee high.
Hmm.
And getting into this MovieTuber space, like you have to network.
Yep.
Like I remember doing this and like nobody's watching my stuff. My first ones, I didn't do anything about thumbnails. So it was just always these weird pictures of me up there. Like it would just pick random parts of your video that'd be your thumbnail, and it'd just always be like
Right.
some silly face and like
Yeah. They always
always
pick the worst possible like images. I don't even know how that's determined.
no idea. But like with Zach Mill, he
Mhm.
was the first person, like my first 5 or 6 videos, he would just come on there and comment, and I didn't know. And I was like, man, I don't know this guy. Like, why is he
Yeah.
commenting on my stuff? I kept thinking, I was like, man, why is he commenting on my stuff? Then I went to his channel. I was like, this guy has thousands of followers, right? And then I went to his channel and I saw he was doing a live stream. The other Zach was on his live stream.
Yep.
And then I started following him, and then you on his live stream, and then it was like this rabbit hole of people who were just like this group of movie tubers. I'm very standoffish. I don't like to open myself up to people. And it's like, oh well, we're cool, like because I take that kind of seriously, right? I don't
Yeah.
just I know that guy. He's a good guy, right?
Absolutely.
So over time, I would jump in chats and stuff like that and always give my opinion. And everybody has this passion for film. So I learned like just to get rid of like my biases. Like last night on the stream, you had Toby and Mike. They're young kids. Like I would have never in a million years want to, like I talk to my kids. I don't talk
Right.
to anyone else's kids. But that's cool because you're including everyone in the space, right? You got the senior citizen me. You got guys
You're not that old, man.
I say that completely joking, but yeah, you have this diverse group of people. It's not just one group. It's not just black movie tubers. It's not,
Right.
white movie tubers. It's everybody. It's all encompassing. I think that's really cool. And that's something I learned, like it's not just, about me. It's about networking, getting out of the military. I had to network in order to find the right spaces to move forward and do good things, for me and my family.
Yeah, man, networking is super important, especially in this space, because the reality is nobody knows who we are. When we were talking at first about like when you would search for like YouTubers or movie reviewers and you would never see the small channels, that was the same with me. I saw the Jeremy Johns and I saw the Chris Stuckmans and Collider and like the Movie Talk and all that stuff. You see all those people first. And in reality, like they earned it. Like they've been doing this for a while, right?
Yes.
So I didn't start meeting other like smaller YouTubers until I started doing YouTube, which was great. And the other thing I want to point out is shout out to Zach Milne. I have heard the exact same story from like, I want to say 50 to 75% of the people who I've had on Meet the MovieTubers. The last time when I talked to Dark Movies, Toby, about Meet the MovieTubers, when I talked to Jason Entertainment about Meet the MovieTubers, it's like, yeah, all of a sudden, this guy named Zach, who I don't know from a can of paint, just started commenting on my video. So in a lot of ways, Zach Milne is responsible for a lot of the relationships that we have here. And I don't even think that he recognizes that. So shout out to you, Zach. You definitely brought and helped foster a community of YouTubers. You are the man in that space. Like I've met so many people, I'm honestly starting to forget where I met them. I met a lot of people through Zach Milne streams, and same thing with Spoiler King streams. It's been a pretty great like experience doing YouTube and just meeting all these people from, like you said, literally across the planet. I did not think I would know so many Canadians. Like there's so many Canadians who I know now between Zach Milne, Jason Entertainment, Chillmonger, like all these Canadians, and then Toby's from Norway. Like it's great, man.
It is your boy T, the overly emotional movie reviewer, and I swear watching John Q, I probably cried 10 times watching that movie. From the conversation he had with his wife that set him off at the beginning of the second act, all the way up to that flex at the end from his son.
One of the things that you said was really real, which is you really do need to set out time for this. Like a lot of times I can tell when the thing I'm making isn't as good because I did it last minute. I guess I'll just turn the camera on and just blah, 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 right? I can tell when the quality of what I'm doing isn't as great. Zach Attacks, like he's told me that he can tell like when I actually put effort into it, when I just looked like I was tired on camera. So yeah, man, that's real.
So yeah, that was a big problem for me early on. Like when I would do my podcast, I would always do it super late at night. I would have this quiet, and one of my friends, one of my really great friends, he messaged me on Facebook. He's like, "Hey man, really dig your podcast, but why does it sound like you're talking as if you're scared somebody's going to wake up in the next room?" And I was like, "That's because I am scared because my kids in the next room sleeping."
Yeah.
And I'm like doing this podcast, and I'm not a high energy guy. It's one of the reasons why I really like TJ Billett. He has so much energy, man.
Yeah.
Like he just like he brings it. The Ace Avenue. Like he's a guy I met through Zach Milne, and he just they have so much energy. I'm more I can't fake it. I can't get on here. It's one of the reasons I don't do trailer reviews, because I see everybody's trailer reviews and everyone's like, and I just can't do that. I have a different type of reaction. I think people do that. Like a lot of times I see people, and I don't know if these are natural reactions or they're just doing it for YouTube.
Yeah.
I can't do it, man.
The thing about doing like trailer reactions is that when I wasn't doing trailer reactions, I was just a normal person just watching trailers, I would catch everything that was going on in the trailer reaction, or in the trailer rather. Now that I do trailer reactions, I'll be missing the majority of what's going on in the trailer because you have to talk. I don't talk during trailers in my natural, normal, like everyday life. Same thing when I was trying to do Secret Invasion. I was doing like the watch along thing or first time watching kind of videos. And I would have to talk during the TV show, because that's kind of part of it. And I don't talk when I'm watching television like that. So that was like one of the weirdest adjustments I had to make. And so I totally understand where you're coming from with that.
I'm a very low vibrations, as they say. Like it's good energy, but it's just, and it's really hard for me to fake something I don't like. There's a few movie reviews that I just didn't put out, and I don't know why. Like, it might be because of the MovieTubers. Everybody was so high on some movies, and I was just like, man, that's just not that good. Like, I don't like it as much, and I just decided not to put the videos out because apparently you have different views. Sometimes people take that personal. I don't know. I don't know why. I have no idea why.
I don't get it. You are allowed to like the movie that you like or dislike the movie that you don't like. And it doesn't have to do with anything or affect anyone else. It's weird the way some people are about movies. I think the kids call it stan culture. If I like it, it must be great. It's like, relax.
The only thing that upsets me is when good movies fail. The Fall Guy flopping. The Fall Guy is my favorite movie of the year. Like, because of the way it made me feel. Like, it's such a fun, silly movie. It's like such a good time at the theater, man. It's like, if you're going to take a date to a movie, The Fall Guy's a good date movie. Like,
I watched your review of The Fall Guy, and you were talking about Metal Storm and how you would want to see like the full movie. I want to see the full movie of Metal Storm because it looked hilarious.
It looked like what Rebel Moon should have been. Outlandish and fun. I felt the same way about Dungeons and Dragons last year. I fought myself so hard to go see that. I was like, man, I'm not going to see that. I'm not going to waste my time.
I did not think it would be good, but it turned out to be very good.
Yes. And that's why I gave it, like, I tried to bring energy to that review because I love that movie so much because it was so fun. It was not a perfect movie. Very few movies are. Everybody in the theater had a great time. Everybody was laughing. Like, it was really good, and it just didn't get its fair shake. That upsets me more than a difference in opinion. Certain movies deserve to make money, right? Just so we can have more of that, right? I don't want another Transformers. I don't need Transformers versus G.I. Joe. Like, I want better movies like that just push boundary. Like A24, right? People don't support those movies enough. Those are creative movies.
Those are great movies, man. Dread with Carl Urban, great. I really wish it would have did better. It should have had at least 2 sequels by now. Like, that movie was fantastic. I love the fact that it was just in one location. Like, you just got to go up in this and go through all these bad guys. Man, I thought it was great. It just didn't make enough money.
Dread stole a lot of its ideas from The Raid Redemption, which is my favorite action movie of all time. It took a lot of cues from that, and Lena Headey was so good in that movie. That movie is super underrated. It definitely doesn't, like, a lot of people haven't even seen it. They think of Judge Dredd with Sylvester Stallone.
I love that movie, but obviously the Dread with Carl Urban's better.
Way better. Such a better movie.
So let's move on to our third question. So in terms of your time on YouTube, when you look towards your future, what's the ultimate version of your channel?
I think the ultimate version of my channel is something like this, right? Like, I'm more of a conversationalist than I am like a one of my favorite movies too, Sully Streams, right? His stuff is he's copious with his notes, right? And you can tell that from his videos. Like, he's really straightforward. It doesn't seem like it's edited. It just seems like it's all just one take. And I used to pride myself on doing these videos in one take. I used to just like, I'm just gonna flow.
Yeah.
And they were terrible. What I would like to see is just like a conversation, right? I've done interviews on my podcast where it just flows and it's such a great conversation. I want to do that on YouTube. It's just hard finding the time to do that with someone to match their time. I'm terrible at editing, so I want to do it live. I want to do like a weekly live, just sit down, and not just with MovieTubers, but with directors, actors. Like, I feel safe in that space because, just talking to someone else, you can have like a really genuine conversation. It doesn't have to be salacious or anything like that. That's not even the type of time I'm on. It's just like a fun conversation, learning about somebody's skill set, learning about somebody's passion. Like, I'm very passionate about the movies that I watch. I'm very passionate about, my idea of a good movie. I would love to talk to other people about that. Like, that's my perfect, a weekly sit down with someone, whether they're in the industry or not, budding, successful MovieTuber, it doesn't matter. Like, I'm a small channel. Like, you guys have thousands of subscribers. I have 100, right? Like, but I believe in what I do. I have fun with what I do until I stop having fun. Like, I could have 1 subscriber and it would just be my wife, and that's fine. Like, you just get in there, You just talk about what you love, right? That's what I'm doing.
I think that you should just go for it, man. It sounds dope. You got your dope studio set up, you know what I mean, in the background. You're all ready to go. Like, let me tell you something right now. I can't say this for everybody, including myself for a long time. Your camera quality is fantastic. Like, you like looking at this, like, you are clear as day. You know what I'm saying? Like, I could see the little thistles up in the beard. Like, your camera quality is all that. You know what I'm saying? And you sound like your sound is great. You are all set up. And even if you weren't, you should still go for it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want people to say, "Oh, I gotta wait to get my camera ready. I gotta wait to get my sound ready." No, start out now with the 360p, like with the grainy video. What stops a lot of us from doing things is that we want it to look good when we start. You can't get good. I don't know if that's proper English, but you can't get better, I should say, if you don't start. You cannot retool and fix what you don't create. I had a mentor of mine who used to say, like, it's easier to revise and create, right? So it's hard to create. It's hard to make something. But once you make it, you can, like, oh, that needs to be better, and this needs to be better. And I like this, so I'll keep this. But I think I want to turn this up or turn this down. Or this music works or this music doesn't. Like, all that stuff you cannot do. You can't tinker if you don't make anything, right? So, yo, if you need a guest on your show, man, whenever you start it, I raise my hand. I will be there. Let's get to our last 2 questions. What is a movie that has inspired you or challenged you?
So the movie that inspired me to be a better person, to be a more complete, Forrest Gump. Forrest Gump is my number 1 movie of all time.
Yes. Talk about it.
He wasn't a smart man, but he knew what love was. That's me in a nutshell, right? I'm not the smartest guy in the room. I'm not the best looking guy in the room, but I'm a guy who is just, I'm going to put in the work, right? And he put in the work. He invested in a fruit company.
I never went back to work for Lieutenant Dan. Though he did take care of my Bubba Gump money, he got me invested in some kind of fruit company. And so then I got a call from him saying, we don't have to worry about money no more. And I said, that's good. One less thing.
A fruit company
that said he didn't have to work anymore. He got a letter from fruit company. He didn't have to work anymore.
Yeah.
I love that movie so much.
I don't know if you know this, but that is in my top 3 favorite movies. All of my favorite movies are from 1994, actually. Lion King, Forrest Gump, and Speed.
An eclectic group of movies.
Yeah.
But I remember watching Forrest Gump. I didn't go see it in the theater. I didn't watch it. It won the Oscar. Like Tom Hanks won another Oscar because he went back to back, Philadelphia then Forrest Gump. And I was like, I don't want to watch this movie. It looks silly, right? Maybe 2 years down the road, I finally just broke down and watched it one day, and I was just like, this is brilliant. It's so simple, right? It's such a simple movie. It was like the small things, and it just I used to always kidding to this day, like, I'm the most average human being you'll ever meet, right? I live on the average. I live on the median, right? And there's nothing wrong with that, right? Like everybody can't be exceptional. Like everybody can't be the 1%. I'm comfortably somewhere in the middle, not the bottom, not the top, but I'm like comfortable, so comfortable. And he was really comfortable with who he was, and I respected that so much.
Yeah,
because he just lived his life, right? Like, he lived his life and he got to do amazing things. I've lived my life and I've got to do some amazing things. I've got to meet some amazing people in the military. Like, you have a bunch of alpha males, right? I hate that term. Like, they walk in the room and they have to tell everybody, I'm General such and such, I'm Colonel such and such, I'm Sergeant such and such. Once you know who you are, when you walk in a room, people know who you are. You don't have to say it. Like, Forrest Gump, like, he's a Medal of Honor recipient. Like, this guy, he could walk in any room and he never had to say that. He owned the shrimping boat. So many life lessons in that. Like, that you could just take.
Yeah. Like what we were talking about with, like, just starting a YouTube channel or just starting whatever you're looking to do. This dude, and this is so crazy and indicative of the world around us, right? He had a heartbreak and he just went running. And people assign so many different meanings to it.
Are you doing this for world peace?
Are you doing this for the homeless?
Are you running for women's rights?
Or
or for the environment, or for animals.
They just couldn't believe that somebody would do all that running for no particular reason.
Why are you doing this?
I just felt like running.
Like, are you running for charity? Or running for this? Are you running against this thing? It's like,
just felt like running, man.
And
just
then
put on those shoes.
Just as important, which I think a lot of people miss, he stopped because he just didn't feel like running anymore. He was done.
Back.
I'm pretty tired. Think I'll go home now.
He didn't say, "Oh, if I stop running, what will all these people think?" Like, no, I'm done here. Thank you so much. And then the guy, he said, "So what do we do now?" I'm like, that has nothing to do with me.
I didn't tell y'all to follow me. You decided to follow me because you were going through something in life. Such an underrated scene in that movie was the turnaround.
Yeah,
like so many different lessons in that movie. Like when he turned around, I've been there. I've been at that, like where you're just doing something. You know what? I think I'm done.
Yeah.
I think I'm done.
Yep.
Sometimes there are other people who are depending on you to keep going.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't actually get on this train. Like
right.
and of course this isn't like family. Like
Mm-hmm.
this isn't something life or death important, but it's like, man, I'm sorry. I'm done. Like I can't do. I don't want to do this anymore. I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
Great movie. I love Forrest Gump.
I could literally talk about Forrest Gump for an hour. Like I love. There's so many different things to talk about. So we're almost halfway through 2024. What would you say your top 3 movies of 2024 have been so far?
On my Letterboxd, I've ranked all the movies I've watched this year. I got number 1, The Fall Guy. I just love. I love that movie. Number 2, Dune.
Dune, yeah.
Dune 2. I think that's just a magnificent. If any movie is going to be perfect, it would be Dune 2. Like I would say that movie is as close to perfect as you're going to get.
I agree.
And the third movie, I had American Fiction, but that came out last year. But I watched it this year.
Yeah.
But the third movie, Book of Clarence. I think that's underrated. I connected so much with Lakeith Stanfield. And I will say this. Lakeith Stanfield, he's gone on the record and says a few things that I just truly didn't agree with. And as a person, I can't say that I rock with him.
Right.
But boy, is this man a talented actor, man. Like if you can get me to like you on screen when I don't like you as a person, I don't know him as a person.
That is talent.
Like it really is. Like and what he did in Book of Clarence, I'm not a really religious person, so I went into it like with no, like I didn't go into it, blasphemous.
Right.
Like, I didn't go into that with that lens, but what they did with that story was just unique. The brother who directed it, Kevin Samuel, or
I don't think it was Kevin Samuels.
no, not Kevin. Man,
but I forget what his name is, but I know it's not Kevin Samuels for sure.
It's definitely not Kevin. That's so funny. I can't remember. He's a brother from the UK. The Harder That Fall. That was in my top. The year that came out.
He directed that as well. I
think that was in my top 3. Like he has such a unique vision. The way he incorporates music. And what I didn't know is he did all of the music for the movie. He sang some of the songs for the movie too.
I did not know that.
So that's why the music in the movie flows so well together. Certain scenes where the music in the movie are just like perfectly in sync.
Yeah.
And it's because he said he writes the music before he writes the script. And then he sandwiches the script around the music because he's a musician first.
Yeah.
But he just got into doing movies. That just opened my mind to, and it made me look at the movie from a different lens because I already loved the music. Same thing with Harder They Fall. Like the music just hit. It was like this hip hop, like urban sound to a Western, which one of the reasons I didn't like Westerns because it just felt
dry.
Western, right? Yeah. But this was cool. Like it was. Same thing with like you take it in the biblical times. You have this Jesus adjacent story of Clarence. The sonics are just insane.
Yeah,
how it just kind of flowed. Like there's scenes where the dance scene where they were in the club or something. I was like, man, one of my biggest irks in movies is dancing scenes when there's clearly different music playing or they're just dancing. Like I've seen behind the scenes where it's just like they're just moving. And it's like there's no music, and then they cut music in, and they just look so goofy. So that's my top 3. I think they're 3 very distinctly different movies, but they're great movies in my mind.
Those are 3 great picks, man. I did see Book of Clarence, I was so tired when I went to go see it, so I missed a little bit of it because I was falling asleep, but it wasn't falling asleep because of the movie. But what I did see, which was the majority of the movie, it was super well directed and it was super well acted, man. Lakeith Stanfield was great in it, just like you said. Tiana Taylor, she's amazing in that film. That's a movie I know that is very controversial, but personally, I didn't find it to be blasphemous because nothing that Jesus did in that movie was the opposite of what he would have done, and the movie wasn't about Jesus at all. Like it was about a guy who just happened to be around during that time, right? And it's a fictional character, so it's not like you're changing anything that happened. It's just a vision of a view of someone's eyes that was alive during that time and was I won't call him a scumbag. That's a little wild, but was not the greatest. And then through trying to like abuse someone else's like fame, learned a lot about himself, and we learned a lot about him. Yeah, I actually really enjoy that film, even though I know a lot of people have different feelings about it, which I kind of I respect it, but I enjoyed it for sure.
My comments, that is the most commented video that I had. But there were a lot of people who actually watched the video, watched the movie, and there were some people who didn't, and they just commented. It was like, man, like you don't even understand, like you don't even know, like it's such a deep movie. Like the third act of the movie went a lot darker than I thought it was. Like,
it
was
changed.
Profound.
Yep.
Yes, but it was profound. Like just that discovery of self, right?
Yep.
Something we all look to do, right? And he was questioning his faith, but he found faith at the end of it. And it was like the way he did that, it was so beautifully done. And I think if people would just take the time to watch it, they would understand how it was the opposite of blasphemy. It really, like, it didn't promote Christianity. Like, it wasn't like a Christian-based film.
Right.
But it was a promotion of faith, right? Like whatever you believe in, it can come to you. It like if it's in you, it could definitely it can grow, it can manifest through you. It manifested through Clarence, and it was such a beautiful movie. That was a movie I cried on. Like at the end of it, it was just like, man, this is so deep. This guy really went through it, right? And he was, like you say, he was a scumbag. Like at the beginning, he was not a good person.
Right.
Definitely all the wrong intentions, but he found, and I know that guy, right? We all we know that guy.
Yeah.
I know Clarence like that. That's why I think that's why it resonated a lot with me, because I know the person who you deem to be the scumbag, who you deem to be the bad guy because of their actions, but like they still have time to find themselves, They're not bad people. It's just in bad situations. He was broke. Like, hey, we all been there. Like sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do to not be broke no more.
Right. Yeah.
To not be broke no more.
Absolutely. I have a friend who, like, his quote, his phrase is, "We're all bad guys." Like at some point, like none of us are the superhero that we portray ourselves to be. Like all of us have done the villainous thing. Now, obviously, some of us have done some criminally wild villainous stuff, but
yes,
in a very social context, like we've all been the bad guy at some point. And so having that empathy is important.
Well, it is me, your boy T, the overly emotional movie reviewer, and yeah, have you seen that with T YouTube channel? We are growing. I'm enjoying every step of it. I really appreciate this opportunity, Kenny. And I do movie reviews. I'm gonna branch out. I will definitely try to find time to start doing the question and answer, the interview style YouTube videos with some of our content creators, some of the actors, actresses, stunt people, stunt men, stunt women. Like I would love to get them on, and I'm gonna work on that. So yeah, we can look forward to that in the future. And next week, I have no idea what's coming out in the movies, but I'm gonna go see something.
Thank you so much for coming on, and thank y'all for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the Have You Seen That with T YouTube channel. I'm gonna put the link in the description. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.